I want you to remember three things of what I'm going to say in the next minutes. The first thing is that human health, we can only be healthy if the soil is healthy. The second thing is, in order to survive as a species, we're going to have to eat more trees. And the third thing, you are not a human. So let's first start with the basics. How are we alive? How is it possible we live? The biggest reason we live is because of a fantastic invention nature has made, and it's called a plant. A plant has leaves. These leaves are like solar panels. These solar panels take energy from the sun, generate kind of electricity, energy. They take the CO2 out of the air. They take the water out of the soil, H2O, and I'm not sure if you paid attention in chemistry class, but CO2 plus H2O is C6H12O6, or sugar. Voila, climate change solved. CO2 plus water together is sugar. And it uses it to grow. But the plant also needs more food. So the plant makes roots. And the good news is, in every soil in the world, there's enough good, nutrients-rich soils to have agriculture indefinitely. Now, the biggest problem is, I'm not sure if you've ever been on a picnic and you had wine bottles with you, but you forgot the wine opener. Anybody has been there? Yeah, okay. Maybe we're human after all. That's the same problem the plants have. So imagine the soil is full of bottles of wine, but inaccessible. So the plant needs to be smart, and the plant actually asks the microbes, the fungi, to open these wine bottles and bring them to them. In exchange, a lot of the sugars the plant make, it gives the sugars to these microorganisms. So you have this beautiful exchange between them. The microorganisms do not only give food, but they also protect the plants. Now, what happens if you give chemical fertilizers or chemical pesticides? Then you disrupt this entire system and the plant becomes sick. What do you do when the plant becomes sick? The plant gets attacked by animals or by disease, and then we need to spray pesticides, and then we come into this vicious circle. We don't want that. Now, we are humans, or aren't we? I'm not sure. How are we healthy? Or how do we eat? You just ate fantastic food. We put it in our mouth. It goes through our gut. And our gut actually is a bit the same like the roots of plants. There are also all kind of little microorganisms extracting, opening the wine bottles, to give it to our bloodstream. So we have this beautiful interconnectedness between the soil and our gut. And that's how we are healthy. Now, the thing is, it happens often that I'm in a discussion with chemical companies such as Bayer, former Monsanto, Syngenta, and they all say, well, Louis, don't worry. Pesticides are not bad for human cells. They don't harm humans. But, like I told you before, you are not human. We have more non-human cells in our body than we have human cells. Let that sink in for a minute. So, if we spray pesticides on our food that kill fungi and bacteria that help the plant to get the wine, and we ingest it, we also kill the fungi and the bacteria that help us not to only digest food, but to keep us healthy. Because our health is mostly dependent by our gut health. And our gut is closely linked to our brain. You know, this brain-gut axis, a lot of depressions even, start with the bad gut health. So the only way to be healthy as a human is if you have a healthy gut. But how do we get these microorganisms? We've been eating the last million years, putting all stuff in our mouth, and these microorganisms colonized our gut. They were allowed to stay because they said, well, I will open your wine bottles. So they were able to stay. And the problem now is, if the soil is devoid of microorganisms, they won't colonize the fruit and the leaves of the plants, so we won't ingest it, and the thing is, they're all going away. So they're not helping us anymore. And we have a huge rise in chronic diseases. We have nutrient deficiencies, and we've never eaten so much before. How is that even possible? Well, because the wine bottles just passed through. They're not opened. Now, what's the solution then? Actually very simple. We have to take care of our soil. And how do we do that? First, you stop plowing the soil, or do it as little as possible, because plowing is like taking the city of Brussels, putting it upside down, and expecting you can go out to the bakery next day to buy your favorite croissant. It's impossible. You destroy an entire ecology and soil economy. The second thing is a no-brainer. We have to stop using pesticides, and it's very easy actually to do it, because you can use natural predators if you install an ecological network, if you have a good crop rotation. And if you want to have more information about that, call Laura. The same with fertilizers. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just take it from the air, the fertilizers? Well, the good news is 78% of this air is nitrogen, and you have bacteria living together with plants, taking nitrogen from the air, giving it to the soil for free. Rainworms, for example, you can have 2 tons of rainworms per hectare of land. That's an equivalent of 30 people around 3 to 4 tables working for free 24/7, and they don't complain. You don't even have to pay them. They don't. So nature-based solutions is the key. And then maybe one of the most important things that is almost never talked about is we have to eat more trees. What you've eaten tonight was super delicious, and most of it was coming from plants that only live 1 year. It's called annuals. There is also a perennial, a plant that lives more than 1 year on your plate. Who knows what it was? Asparagus. Correctly. Asparagus, you only have to plant it once and it keeps on growing year after year. And that's the thing with eating more perennials. Why is it important? I've been to the Amazon rainforest last year, and around 17% of it right now is cut down. And about when it's cut down 25%, you have a tipping point and it will collapse. If that ecosystem collapses, all other ecosystems on Earth will also start to collapse, and we're basically screwed. Now, how do we save the Amazon rainforest and other places in the world? It's by planting more trees. We need more trees for this water cycle to come back. Because did you know that if you have 2 drops of rain, every second drop of rain falls on this planet because of the tree? Trees create rain. You haven't learned that at school. Even in the IPCC report, it's not in it. But trees are actually responsible for 40 to 50% of all the rain that falls on this planet. It helps enormously to cool down the planet, because if the tree evaporates the water, it has a cooling down effect. Where do you want to be if there's a heat wave? You want to be in the desert, or do you want to be in a forest? So we need to plant more trees, but we cannot take away agricultural land. You see that in Belgium. There is a government trying to plant 2,000 hectares. They haven't planted a lot so far. So we cannot just take away agricultural land, and also we don't want to, because we need food. I'm not against food. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to nominate the food tree for the Nobel Peace Prize. Why? Because the tree that also provides food brings peace between farmers and nature. The tree has all these benefits of capturing CO2, of creating biodiversity hotspots, of stopping floods. Plus, it gives income to farmers. The Amazon example, for example, even permits a farmer to have 3 times more income than having cattle. So, in order to restore as many land as possible, we need to eat more trees. But should we then only eat trees? Who wants to eat only trees from now on? Nobody? Well, me neither. And that's the thing. That's the beautiful thing. We don't have to only eat trees. We just have to eat more trees. It has to be this perfect combination, because annual plants, most of the plants we eat today, they're big sprinters. They grow very fast, and when you harvest them, they're gone. They don't come back, And that's why it's very intensive for the soil. Animal plants in nature only exist when there has been a storm or a big disruption. So in order to keep on eating our diets, we have to keep disrupting the soil. So that's why we need perennials, plants that live more than 1 year, or trees, and they actually take care of the soil. So you have the sprinters going very fast, producing a lot, but you know, if you sprint too much, you have to relax a little bit, and that's why the perennials come. And the nice thing is, I really loved the example of Laura of showing that you can have more layers on top of each other. If you take 1 hectare of grain, half a hectare of forest, you have 1.5 hectare, but if you put them on top of each other, you have 1 hectare with the same yield as this 1.5 hectares. And this way, we can really save the world by eating more trees. So, the 3 things I'd like you to remember is that we, as humans, can only be healthy if the soil is healthy. Invest in the soil. The second thing is, eating more trees is the way to go forward. And the third thing is, now when you know that you are not a human, but a vehicle carrying a lot of microorganisms that are the only reason we are healthy, it's a no-brainer that we have to stop putting poison on our foods that we eat. Thank you very much.